welcome. This presentation is residential and commercial properties that are on the market now, being given by Art Condo. Maybe next slide. This is Art Condo, and it's a project that's specifically helping artists to purchase property. Next slide. And Art Condo was created in about 2016, specifically to help New York City artists and creative industries, people who run their own creative businesses, to own their own spaces. So owning space is, I think, something sort of political. It's a means of production. I think it's very important, and it can empower people with professional opportunities. And that's the intent of the whole Art Condo project, which is then helping people individually also. Next slide. So we're going to have this presentation. We're going to go over briefly who we are. I'm Michelle Gambetta. Aretha Busby is the woman on the top of my screen who's being hugely helpful now, but she's also a real estate agent. And we're both going to talk a little bit about who we are and what a buyer broker's role is. And then we're going to jump into these different properties and then mention some points for helping you purchase in a very superficial way, just to kind of get your gears clicking a little bit. Next. So I'm Michelle Gambetta. I'm a licensed real estate agent in New York City, and I'm the co-founder of Art Condo. I have a certificate in real estate finance and investment, which is very specifically for doing developments. And so I am working with a group of artists for doing building development for artists. And then Aretha is a licensed real estate agent also, who's licensed in New York and New Jersey, which is huge because I'm not licensed in New Jersey. And I'm going to let Aretha talk herself. We have a few slides about ourselves, but next.
Okay, next slide. Sorry. Oops.
Oh, what happened to those other ones?
Is there another? Oh, there we are. Sorry, I went too fast.
That's okay.
There. Okay.
Yeah. So we wanted just to include a few slides having to do with our own work, because we both are coming from the visual arts. And I worked as an artist for many, many years. And when I came out of graduate school, had run a mobile art gallery working with artists. And that's really the foundation of Art Condo. We were renting trucks, curating shows, putting them in and traveling throughout New York City. And besides how interesting taking art out of the white box and all that it was, and based on the ideas of Joseph Beuys and all that, at the end of the day, it was about space, even a small space like in a truck. And that is a bit of the foundation of Art Condo, because artists can do great things together and in space. Next.
Hi, so I'm Aretha Busby, and I'm also a visual artist in addition to being a real estate agent. You can definitely check out my work at tolerably.black.com and arethbusby.com. I was a fashion director and beauty director for many years, working for publications in New York City. And I just have always had a passion for real estate as well, and just spaces. So a lot of what I did as an artist, a commercial artist working in publishing, was location scouting, and and that obviously brought in architecture. So I love space. I also have purchased my own properties. I have sold my own property. I've been a landlord. So I hope that I can answer a lot of your questions, depending on what your specific property needs and interests are. Thank you. There you are.
Okay, so we're going to jump into a variety of properties that both Aretha and I have researched and that we think can work very well for artists. They're all different price points. We're going to start with live work, because that's usually what creative people want. And so let's do the next slide. We're looking at a few different types of properties.
Okay. Thanks.
So this first property, and we're coming to this, like, these are not properties that we are actually listing, just so everybody understands. We're coming to this like buying brokers, like we are doing research and you would perhaps be interested in this and working with someone one-on-one to help you find something. So this property is in Chelsea and it's an official live work loft, joint living working quarters for artists, which is a specific zoning which allows artists to live and work in the same space in an overlapped way, which you usually cannot do in New York City. And this is a large, beautiful condominium loft that's selling for $1.6 million. And the price per square foot is $997 per square foot. And this is how properties, you can often evaluate different types of properties in this way by the price per square foot to be comparing. The taxes with condos, you pay both real estate taxes and common charges. They break them up. And so we're listing these here. But this is a Chelsea, and this one is even less expensive than the ones that are in Soho. And these types of properties that you can live and work in the same exact square footage without being discreetly separated tend to be more expensive because they're also in areas of New York City that are more expensive. And this is a floor plan of it. And I think it's often very instrumental to look at these because the way these spaces were designed and used, let's say, like in the 70s and 80s, were like the artist lived in one part and then worked in the other. And therefore you could separate your work from your living and separate your materials and all that. These days, it's very hard to find these types of spaces because they are renovated to be like entertaining spaces.
Sorry.
It's okay.
Okay. Next.
So this was a single family home that I had found in the Bronx. And it seems to me like it's a potential opportunity. You can see the price per square foot is $312 a square foot. You can be living and working in single family homes. You can be legally using about 25% of them, but you also can be using a basement for work. You can be using a garage for work. This building home has the ability to be built up more, both forward and backward. It has a lot of these so-called air rights, 5,486 square feet of air rights. And it's been on the market for a long time. So it's being used as almost like a boarding house. And so the owner has some stipulations for selling it. But in terms of people wanting space, which is often what artists want, these little homes sometimes can bring something to think about as real property, which are not always considered.
There's the interior.
And you can see here on the right-hand side that the next door neighbor built backward all of that space because they legally can. You know, you always can't. But this block has the ability to be built out more, which you're not necessarily paying for that in the price per square foot. And so you can get more value that way if you want to embark upon that. And the basement is mostly finished. A little low ceiling, but you could use it totally for working or gallery or something.
Okay, did I skip something? Sorry, I can't see you to see if I'm skipping anything. So Michelle, if it seems like I skipped over, just let me know because I have the full screen view. Yeah, so this is a live work condo building in Jersey City. And it's a 2-bed, 2-bath that I'm showing here. And it's listed at $589,000. The maintenance is $1,000 per month, and the taxes are $4,000 per year. I think it's important to point that out because when people see those numbers, sometimes they think that's every month, but the taxes are usually presented annually, and they're usually billed quarterly, right? So yeah, so your monthly maintenance. So quarterly, you'd be paying a little over $1,000 a month in taxes. You're getting 1,300 square feet. One of the great things about this building is it was a factory, so it actually lends itself to, you know, being a quiet. It's all concrete. It's a solid building. Right now, I mean, I actually showed a property in this building this past weekend, and it's a mix of people who live there just as residential, but you also do have creative people that live there as well. It's also across the street from Mana Contemporary, which is a place actually where I have my art studio, but they do rent studios of varying sizes as well. So I'll just show you some pictures from that listing. So what I like about this building is that they have retained a lot of the architectural integrity of the warehouse feeling. So you do get these soaring ceilings and these really big windows. They also all have but they've also added modern touches like the central AC, and there's a lot of amenities. That's why your maintenance for Jersey, $1,000 maintenance is a little high, but you are getting a theater room. There's barbecue, grilling area. You also have a gym, and there's a yoga room in there as well. So it's really a great building, and it's near walking distance to the Journal Square path. Sorry, and that's a little more of the apartment, and then this is sort of the entryway. Again, the picture to the right, they really play up that it was, an old factory building. And on those monitors, they have pictures as you come in. This is the lobby. You can see what it looked like when it was a functioning, I believe it was a paint factory or something, because there's lots of images of cans. I like it because it's a condo, and condos are a lot easier to purchase than co-ops in that you don't have a co-op board per se. And it also just means you have a little more autonomy, which I think is great for artists. And what else did I want to mention about the condo co-op? You have a little more flexibility with what you can do with your space as well. So if you want to knock down walls, it's a little bit easier to do that in a condo building. So I included this map just to kind of give everyone an idea of how close Jersey City is, in case you, haven't thought about Jersey City as an alternative to New York. But so what you see here is the red and green is actually the PATH train from 34th Street, which takes you all the way to Newark. This gray line below shows you the PATH train that would leave from World Trade Center and take you through Journal Square, and that also goes to Newark as well. So just so you can get a sense of how to, it's like 30 to 40 minutes to get to Manhattan from Newark. And even shorter to go from Journal Square, more like 20 minutes.
And Journal Square, excuse me, Aretha, Journal Square is where Jersey City is officially. Is that the heart of Jersey City, or I'm not as familiar?
There's a lot that happens in Journal Square. I mean, Jersey City has a few areas. I think Grove Street is another area where there's a lot happening, restaurants and shops and things like that. But yeah, definitely Journal Square is a commercial hub. Mm-hmm. Okay.
So I wanted to include this project that I've been working on with artists in the South Bronx, which is a different approach to purchasing something. It's an investment model where people are pooling their money. The artists who've been participating have pooled their money in the goal of being able to get something that's very close to the cost of creating it. And so it's an investment model where your cash is coming in, it's being used, and then the other units are being sold at a little bit of a higher price to create some investment returns that subsidize the original people. So it's a little complicated, but it's an approach which could be used with the group, or could be used with the South Bronx building, or potentially could be used for people coming together. But the goal of being able to get as much space at the best price, I'm very interested in looking at different approaches to it. And this is something that I am working on that I wanted to put out there.
Okay.
Next, yeah, I guess.
Sorry.
We started with a piece of land. That's what we have now is an empty piece of land. And we're about 60% through the process. We have all the architecture plans, and we're talking with potential partners actually to do the construction. But we still could take artists who were interested, given everything else made sense. Okay.
Sorry, there was a map that I
Yeah.
just, there.
Yeah. And this is just so you can see where it is in relation to Manhattan and Harlem. The Bronx is actually very, very large. And this is the southern part of it, not Mott Haven, which is the most southern part. This area that we bought the piece of land in is called Melrose. So it's the neighborhood that's next, and it's a few blocks from the subway. Okay.
Great. Okay, so HDFC co-ops. So these are apartments that are, they usually will sell for below market value. And in exchange for that, there are usually restrictions that come. There will be income restrictions. There may be some restrictions on who you can sell to and how long you have to live in it as a primary residence. So they are not, they're not as easy as if you just went and purchased a condo building, a condo apartment. But they are a great affordable way for someone to become a homeowner in New York City. So HDFC co-ops are available throughout the 5 boroughs. And the way that they sort of came about was that, in the 80s, there were lots of landlords that were just abandoning buildings. If there was some major expense or people stopped paying the rent, it just became, not financially lucrative or interesting for landlords to even hold on. It's actually easier for them to just walk away. And what happened, though, is that there were tenants that were left in these buildings that were like, well, we want to stay here. We don't want to move. And the city set up this structure where they would loan money to these buildings, these co-ops, they weren't co-ops at that point, but they established a cooperative, and they could borrow money from the city to do repairs. So maybe they needed a roof, maybe the plumbing needed to be updated. And in exchange for these low interest loans, the city sort of said, well, now you have to sort of pay it forward. So you're going to have income restrictions on when you sell, because really it was the point of HDFCs was really to keep people in their homes. So I say all that just to kind of give everyone a little bit of an overview of what an HDFC looks like. Oftentimes when you see these units, they will need to be renovated, and there will be a slightly more involved process in terms of being approved to purchase. Okay. So I have a couple here. So this is one, actually just make sure this is a building, that I have. I'm waiting because there are about 3 units that are coming available. Originally, the attorney for the building told me that they would be coming July 1, but as with a lot of things that have to funnel through the city these days, amidst the pandemic, things are taking a lot longer. So what has to happen before an HDFC co-op is sold is actually the city has to release them. And so that's kind of the step that we're waiting on. I haven't seen the apartments. I know that they are 1 and 2 bedrooms. I know that they're going to start at $125,000, and they have to be owner occupied for a minimum of 2 years. But other than that, I don't know what state they're in. I know that they were occupied for 20 years by the previous owners. But other than that, I don't have any more information about it. And, if anyone's interested, certainly reach out and I can, keep you in the loop as they become available. Let's see. This is another HDFC that's in Harlem. This one had been on the market for 59 weeks a few weeks ago, so it's still on the market. It says no pied-à-terres, which means you can't really buy it with the intention of it being like your weekend apartment in Manhattan. They really want it to be sold only as a primary residence. As you can see, it does need work. It's listed at $349,000, which is an incredible number. In order to purchase an apartment of this, this size in New York City. And it's set up as a 1-bedroom, but because of the living room, dining room setup, I think it can, or maybe it's actually a 2-bedroom. I think you can make it a 3-bedroom, and I'll show you the picture. There are income restrictions. So the other great thing with HDFCs is you don't have to come with 20% down the way you would have to for a normal co-op, regular market rate co-op. So they will accept 10% down, but the maximum income is going to be $95,000 a year. They don't look at assets as income. So if you have a bank account with a lot of money in it, but you don't earn a lot weekly, you could still qualify to purchase. And as a matter of fact, that's actually how a lot of them sell. You can be gifted money and so forth. So I'll show you. That just kind of shows you a little bit of the state of the apartment. I think HDFCs are great for artists because we usually arrive with a vision anyway. So, obviously this apartment's going to need some love. So here's the layout. So to get these 2 bedrooms, you could also turn the living room into a bedroom as well if you wanted to, and then you would lose the dining room. But this is a lot of space for $349,000. So you could work from home, you could have a roommate situation. I mean, this property just lends itself to a lot of possibilities. Let's see. Okay, we're going to go into industrial and commercial condos.
So this building I had included, I know that it's an offer has been accepted on it though. So we had done this talk 2 or 3 weeks ago. I had showed it to some people. It was an interesting industrial building selling at a very good price that had been renovated with a lot of skylights and really high ceiling heights, which a lot of people want. And it was only for working, but it had a space which potentially could have been gotten some special approval for one section of somebody caretaking and living there to watch the whole building. But so maybe we can show the pictures, but I don't think we should go too deep into it because I know that it does have an offer on it. And the issue with these industrial buildings is that often they don't have enough light. They have light in the front and the back, and skylights are a great way to deal with it if you can make them so they don't leak water. And this one seemed like it was very well done. Yeah, and this was the part that could maybe be used for.
There.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was not zoned living, but it could have been probably gotten some sort of approval where it could have a caretaker. And this, the usage of spaces, because I talk with artists so much and most people want space you can work in, and then they'd really love that working space to be something they could live in. But the legal use is very, very important. And it's not only just because of laws, whatever laws, but it's also for safety and firemen and wanting to be somewhere where you are counted in case there ever was a fire, so people know you are there. And if you're buying something, you really do want to know that you're buying something that you really can use, that somebody can't come and say, oh, you're using this illegally, you can't be here anymore. The purchase is a large investment, even if you're using it. This was another commercial condo. This was for retail, not industry. So there are 2 different types of commercial usage. One is clean, one is dirty. This is like a clean and in quotes, clean being sales, office, architecture, dirty being like welding, but you can be painting in either one. And this was a very small commercial condo in Park Slope, South, and it came with a small bathroom, but you could not live in it. And this one also, I believe, has an offer on it. Like Brooklyn especially, the market there has kept up, really did not get very soft with COVID at all. And this was the floor plan of it.
Oh, sorry. There we go.
Yeah.
Yes. I'll move on.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So this is a commercial condo that's in Union City, New Jersey. Union City is just outside of the Lincoln Tunnel. So it's actually very close. You can get there. It's all those buses that leave Port Authority. Union City is, I believe, the first stop for a lot of those buses. So you can get there in about, 10 minutes, 15 minutes on the bus to Port Authority. I just thought the space was great. It's listed at $87,000. It's a storefront in a condo building. Taxes are going to be $1,500 annually, and the maintenance is going to be $770 a month. And what I like about it is it's actually 2 levels, and you'll see when I get to the next slide. It's 1,480 square feet. So this is going to be your, the ground level space. And then if you look on the right, that's your access to the basement. See, there's that hole, and then there's your basement space. So that's a lot of space for under 100,000 for commercial space, for a commercial condo. Okay.
Yeah. So this is another commercial condo, which is in Manhattan in Koreatown. And there are, people, again, I talk with many people who are interested in commercial spaces, and it's very hard to get smaller spaces. That's part of the challenge with helping artists get workspace. This is a space that you could work in, paint in, make music in. You probably could not weld in it. I use that as like an extreme example of like art making, but they're selling the whole floor, and it's 2,800 square feet of floor. And the price per square foot is $943 a square foot. So if you remember back to the first live workspace, that was $950 or so per square foot. This is, the zoning accommodates live work, but it's being listed as commercial. So I think you could live in it. I think it would take a little bit of finagling. Like I understand a lot about the zoning and know, I don't want to get into that too much, but it's a commercial building essentially in Koreatown. This is the building, and it's being used as an office space. And something like this could be purchased, but generally in the city, you have to be buying this big space. And this is 2,800 square feet of space. And it could be broken up, and you see like they've taken out all the divisions. Like a lot of times you can then build in as however you want. Sometimes they have columns. This has no columns.
Okay.
Yeah. So mixed use is another way to approach the desire to have a live work space. Typically, you need to be living in one kind of space, working in another, discrete. When you have joint living working quarters for artists, live work, that's different. It can be overlapping. Mixed use means that you can be living in one section and working in another. And so this building, I think it was Prospect Heights, Brooklyn, has 2 units on the top, which are just for living. And then it has a commercial space on the ground floor, which could be for painting, it could be for sales, could be for selling stuff. And it's a pretty nice space. It's a renovated building. And part of the reason I put it on this list was that the price has dropped a lot. And it's been on the market for a while. And it's a relatively new building. It's not a new building, it's used, but it looks like it's well done. I haven't walked through it yet. I know there were some people, and even I think Dore on this call was maybe interested in seeing it. But financing these sorts of mixed use have to also be looked at, because some of them require commercial loans, some of them can take residential loans, and understanding how to purchase them, especially when they're so expensive, is good to understand from the outset. But I wanted to put this out there because mixed use is really something for people to consider when you want those 2 uses and you don't want to be commuting, half an hour or an hour to your studio. Next. And these are some interior shots. You can see it's renovated.
Okay. So this is a mixed use space that's located in Harrison, New Jersey, which is right next to Newark, and it's accessible via the PATH train as well, which I think is great. And it's listed at 329,000, and it has a storefront. The taxes are $9,000 annually, and you would own the whole building, so there's no common charges. But it has a commercial space downstairs and a two-bedroom apartment upstairs. And it's zoned for commercial, industrial, or retail use. So, which would be excellent for an artist. You can make things or sell things downstairs. And then to Michelle's point, you know, you just go right upstairs when you're done and go home. Great. And also that price is great as well. Just a little bit about Harrison. It kind of has this sort of all-American sort of Leave It to Beaver feel. It's they have one main street, and it, you know, and this is located on that main street. So it's a quiet place, but it's still, you know, it doesn't feel like you're in the middle of nowhere. And you're also very close to Manhattan, which is great. So next, and this is another one. This is also mixed use, and this is located in Fairview, New Jersey. This one is 3,100 square feet. It's currently vacant. It's zoned as an industrial building, but it also has a residential unit upstairs, which you can see with that little porch terrace there. And it's listed at $500,000, which works out to be $159 per square foot, which is an excellent price per square foot. And this is a little bit of what it looks like inside. The lot itself is 25 by 100, so you can see how deep that goes. And this would make an amazing photography studio, or even gallery. I mean, there's a lot of options there. The upstairs apartment maybe needs a little love, but that's easy to fix and change. Okay, and this is a map just to show you, I guess this one was, I'm not sure why we inserted the map for this one here.
Oh, I think I maybe had done it because so you can see how close Fairview is to Manhattan. And there are buses that go straight down the Jersey, which is on the left-hand side, and go into the city. So you're just right across from the Upper West Side. I mean, can't swim across, but there are buses. And the George Washington Bridge is just a little north. So you're not far from New York City.
Well, you're really close to the Lincoln Tunnel too, because the Lincoln Tunnel is going to be just down here, right below the park. So you're kind of in between the two, which is great. You have both options. Okay, so let's see. Next, rehabs.
So this was a building I had found that is like a full gut rehab. And I know often that artists do want that because they can bring their labor, and that sweat equity is a huge value because you do pay people a lot for labor, but things are different degrees of a job. It can be hard to find gut rehabs because they're usually gobbled up by professionals who do it themselves and then sell for the top of the market. But this was something that needs a huge job. And I thought perhaps there was someone who would be interested in it. It's vacant. It's ready for permits. It's selling for essentially almost about $1 million, $975, which is $271 a square foot. It's industrial, M11 is industrial, but it has residential grandfathered in, and it's these 3 floors. It's 3,600 square feet of space, 1,200 square feet per floor. So, but you can see that it's been squatted. It needs some people who would really be comfortable with that sort of a job. And, you know, all of these properties also, you know, you can make offers that are below what the asking price is. Doesn't mean you're going to be able to buy it for those prices, but, you know, if it's something that you were really interested in and looking for, this is a job. And another thing is, like, how do you buy it? Something that needs this much work needs a special loan. Commercial loan won't do it. Residential loan, you need a construction loan. So and that's a little bit of a higher hurdle also to get. But, you know, if you had a team, if you had people you were doing it with, you know, maybe people pieced together could do it, or you would have the cash together to do it. So that's why I wanted to add this. And this is very close to Broadway Junction, just a few blocks from Broadway Junction.
There. That's the other view of the building.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay, so this is another rehab that is in Jersey. This is actually located in Newark. It's listed at $299,000, which is an exceptional price for this property. Taxes are only $5,000 a year, and the lot size is 35 wide, 85 deep. This definitely would need to be a rehab loan or all cash, and it is partially renovated. So you've got your 3-bed, 3-bath, a 2-bed, 1-bath, a 1-bed, 1-bath, and a commercial space. Okay. And so there's some pictures of the interior. It looks like, you know, someone took it on and maybe ran out of money before they finished. And I see a lot of that. I don't know how this happens, but this happens kind of frequently in Newark specifically. I've seen this a lot, where, you know, they'll take down the drywall, put in some new electrical and new plumbing, and then the project just dissolves. And it could be that there were some issues with the contractor, or if they had maybe too risky financing and it took too long to get the permits to do the work, and, you know, their balloon payment came at the end and they weren't ready for it, and the whole thing fell apart. So, you know, you do have to make sure that if you're taking this on, that you'll be able to see it from beginning to end as well. But, you know, you can see the bathroom is almost done. I can tell there's new plumbing because that little red, that tells me that's PEX piping. The blue is cold water. And I guess that would be where the sink is supposed to be. And then there's this little shed in the back, which could also be an art studio. Or you could, I guess, maybe convert it into a garage. But lots of potential here for someone willing to do the work.
Or pay for it to be done.
Yeah. Oop. Okay. Again. So this is a listing of mine, actually. And it's the lower building in front there with the yellow on it. And right now it's being used as a commercial a refrigeration business, but the owner is looking to sell. It's a corner in Williamsburg. It's on the corner of South 5th and Bedford Avenue. It's actually just, it's facing the Williamsburg Bridge. So I'll see that in the next photo. But it's basically right around the corner from Peter Luger's, for those that are familiar. And the taxes are $17,000 a year. And it has air rights to add additional stories. There's a lot of opportunity here, but it certainly is going to need a lot of money to get it to be, you know, usable and to be income generating, I would say. Right now it's sort of set up as a warehouse. I say 2,000 to 5,000 square feet because there's another space behind it. So the owner is willing to combine the two spaces or sell them both at the same time. But if it's just this structure, it's the 2,000 square feet. And it also has a curb cut, which a curb cut means that you can actually drive onto the sidewalk legally. So that means there could be a garage there, or if someone is doing like large scale sculptures and they need to have like a kind of loading dock, you have a curb cut already. And the city of New York is not creating new curb cuts at all. So that's something that makes this property unique. And let's see, and this is the inside. So just like I said, it's like it's a raw kind of warehouse space, and it's 2 levels. Okay.